Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to our Sunday night edition of 15 Minutes of Game, the NBA version. So, fellas, the Lakers we're approaching the playoffs, and the Lakers are about 12 games away from the playoffs. I just want to get you guys' thought. AD's played 2 games. First one was 15-minute restriction, next game, 25-minute restriction. Just like, how are you guys? Your excitement level. Just how are you guys feeling about Lakers basketball?
Well, I think I'm feeling pretty good. It's good to see AD back out there. It definitely looks like he's shaking the rust off, though. And I mean, I'm sure we all held our breath yesterday when he reached for his left calf or whatever that was in the third quarter. I was like, oh my God, here we go again. And I think the biggest thing for the Lakers is Frank Vogel figuring out lineups and who to put on the floor at different times and what makes the most sense for matchups, and then obviously to have some shooting as well, because you got AD and Drummond to figure out. So for me, I think the biggest thing is going to be Frank Vogel moving forward, and how is he going to manage minutes and lineups, because you have a lot of talent on this team. How do you make it all gel quickly with, what did you say, 13 games left?
Yeah, exactly. Around 13 or 12.
Yeah, so it's not a lot of time to get everybody accustomed to how each other. Well, most of the guys, I mean, have been playing together for the most part of this season, but people have been banged up. So I think the biggest thing I'm concerned about is how the whole team is going to gel in these last few weeks before the playoffs.
Great points. Steve.
I'm a
Talking to
little.
you, Frank.
I'm, I'm a little nervous. I agree with Javon. I think, when is LeBron coming back? How long will they have to mesh before the playoffs start? I don't think. I know we're going to talk about the playing games later. I don't think they're going to fall down to the 7 seed to where they'd be in the play-in tournament, just because Portland is, you know, struggling. They're always banged up. But I could see them falling to the 6 seed. They're only a game and a half ahead of Dallas. Dallas just beat them back-to-back games. So that part I worry about. Whether LeBron comes back a couple games before the season ends, the regular season ends, or if it's just fresh for the playoffs. I know we all know he's a beast, but man, if they fall to the 6th spot and they're playing the Clippers, in round one, and I know we just talked about Padres Dodgers, and like the Padres are the Clippers, like the Lakers' little brother, but that's a tough first round matchup. I don't care if you got LeBron, AD, Andre Drummond. It's a tough first round matchup. Even if they end up playing Phoenix, if Phoenix falls down to the 3 spot, I would love for them to stay at 5, because with Jamal Murray out now, I have a lot more confidence against them going against Denver with just Joker and that supporting cast. But yeah, I'm nervous. I think it's too, I don't want to say lazy. I just think it's too, like, I'm a Lakers fan mentality. Like, oh, they're just going to be good no matter what. When these guys come back, there's no guarantee in that. And the Clippers will be, foaming at the mouth if they get the Lakers in the first round. So yeah,
For
I'm
sure.
a little nervous.
I hear you. Those are all great points. I agree with both of you guys are saying. Like, as we heard AD and Schroeder say last night, they have chemistry off the court, obviously, but on the court they need to gain it and build it ASAP, especially once LeBron returns into action. And Steve, as we were talking about the play-in game, I feel like it's key for the Lakers to finish 1 through 6 and not get that 7, 8 seed, just so they can have that week off, have more practice reps, get more shots, go over more film, and be able to rest their body, since KCP is hurt now with his ankle. Yeah. LeBron's trying to get healthy. So I definitely agree with you guys. And with Denver losing Will Barton a few days ago, they're struggling, like, sadly, with injuries. So I agree with you guys. I'm happy with how the Lakers have been playing. They've been able to stay in that, like, 3rd to 5th seed range and not drop multiple games in a row, maybe lose 2-3 games in a row like they have right now, but able to bounce back. And I like that confidence that they have going into it, but the chemistry is a must.
Definitely. I think we saw that in the second half of that Dallas game.
Yeah.
I mean, we jumped out to a big 17-point lead, and then I don't know what happened in the second half, but we just couldn't shoot. We didn't know how to move the ball anymore.
Why didn't Trez play? Do you guys know?
I have
I
no
don't.
idea.
It's so weird.
No, that was weird. Like maybe a low-key injury that they're
Maybe.
trying to monitor. But I have no idea.
An unofficial rest or something.
Yeah, the defense was horrible in the second half. They could not stop that pick and roll. They even went to a zone to try to stop it, but it's like you said, they just had that meltdown.
Big time.
And as we were talking about the play-in game from earlier, how do you guys like this play-in game scenario as we're approaching the playoffs and to see it into effect?
Yeah.
I'm torn. What I do like about it, I'll say to start off, is that it kind of promotes teams not tanking, right? So whoever finishes 7 through 10 has a shot to make the playoff, like the regular playoffs, and then who knows what can happen. Whereas right now, who's the 9 and 10 seed, the Spurs, Golden State. I mean, yeah, they'd still be fighting for the 8 seed, but you'd have other teams, like the Pelicans and the Kings, maybe just completely tanking. What I don't like about it is the structure, and I fully understand it all, but I don't like 7 plays 8 and 9 plays 10.
Exactly.
And I get it, right? So if 7 wins and 8 loses, 8 gets like a second shot playing the loser of the 9-10 game. I would rather it just be, it makes more sense, right? 10 versus 7, 8 versus 9, and you just go. Why they did this weird thing, it's like, it doesn't make any sense to me. So that's what I really don't like about it. So I feel like.
So you're saying the winner of both of those games, then what happens? You said.
So 7. So you have 7 through 10, right? So
yeah, 7 plays 10 and 8 plays 9.
That's what it should be. 7 plays 8 and 9 plays 10. The winners, right? The winners then play each other to go for the 7 seed. The losers of those 2 games then play each other, right? The loser of 7-8 plays the loser of 9-10 and then becomes the 8 seed. It's very weird.
Yeah, the 7 and 8 seed, they have to only win 1 game, while the 9-10 have to win 2 games to advance the playoffs.
I understand why they did it, but it gets on my nerves.
Okay, I misread that online when I went to the NBA website before we did our show, so I guess I didn't really understand it. But I think for me, I like more games. I like the fact that they're elimination games, because I think that's something that the college basketball tournament makes it so interesting, is it's kind of like a single game elimination. It's not a long drawn out series where viewership kind of gets drawn away from watching every single game. So for me, I think it's more interesting. It adds a little bit more intrigue. And I think if you look at the standings, as far as maybe you look at fairness, some competitive balance, the separation between like 7 and 10, 8, and then a little bit below there is really not that much. So you have like a lot more competitive games down the stretch of the end of the season. So, in the East and the West, maybe those 10, 11, and 12 teams, like you said, Steve, aren't really tanking anymore. They're actually playing to get in the playoffs. So I like it. I think it's a good idea. And I think single elimination basketball games are incredible as far as competition goes. So I like it. I think the NBA should keep it up and do it for years after this.
Agreed. I like it just for the tanking purposes. Makes the games and season more interesting. say for the Warriors, I was cheering for them against the Nuggets a few days ago, just for the Lakers. So Denver doesn't pull away, and Denver lost. So it's to see like that 10 seed actually play to win the game and try to move up in the standings. And I like that. And what you said about more games, it's great for Vegas. More betting lines, more games to bet on. So it's a great scenario for that.
Definitely.
Yes, sir. And so we grew up Laker fans, guys, for our whole lives. Blessed to be up in the city. Jenny Buss recently went on a show. I forgot what podcast it was, but she named her 5 important Lakers in history, starting with Kobe, Kareem, LeBron, Magic, and Phil. I just want to get you guys' take on it. See if you guys agree on it, or like, and who would you replace and who would you put in if it's not Jenny's top 5?
Well, I saw when I Googled this, she was getting a lot of heat for making these picks. And people were making it personal about her relationship with Phil. And, it was just kind of a little bit over the top. I mean, everybody has, I think, their own engagement and feelings and experience with the Lakers. So the Lakers they have a huge fan base, and they're obviously really special for all of us as Laker fans. So I'll give you my top 5. But I'm going to do a little different. I'm going to do it with Lakers that I actually watch. So I'm going to leave out all the old school guys.
Okay.
And I'll go with my top 5 of players that I watched growing up. So number 5, actually I'll go the other way because I'm going to leave that dude for last.
Okay.
So number 1, I'm going with Kobe. Not much needs to be said about that. Number 2, Shaq Diesel, Shaq Daddy. Won a 3-peat here. Number 3, Derek Fisher. Obviously 0.4, but he played so many games in purple and gold, and he never missed a night, it seemed like. Yeah. So he was always in shape and ready to run. Number 4, Mr. Pau Gasol. He was part of that back-to-back with Kobe. And then number 5, I'm going with Swaggy P, Nick Young, just because he's a part of the culture. And he made a lot of memories.
I respect that.
I do not respect that.
The Swaggy.
I think it might be the first time I ever quit the show. I was fine with the first 4, what you grew up watching, until that last one, man. Wow. I don't even know. I know, Julian, I know you're hosting this show. I think you got to go next, man. I need some time to recover. And we're gonna run over, but who cares?
Avon shocked me for that. I thought you were gonna throw a hello. I'm not even gonna lie. But Swaggy, man.
Oh.
All right, my top 5 most influential Lakers. I want to copy you, Javon, with who I've seen, but I'm just gonna go with history. It's a story franchise.
No doubt.
Kobe, Kareem, Magic. I'm going to throw in the logo, Mr. Jerry West, because he's done so much for the organization. And number 5 is very tough for me. Damn. Did I throw in Shaq? I'm so sorry. No, it's not. That's not hard. Shaq. Duh. Shaq is 5. So I'm sorry, Shaq O'Neal. Mr. 3. That was my top 5.
Now Shaq Daddy.
Yes. Very nice. It's tough. It's a tough list because, like you said, it's a story franchise with unlimited players in every generation.
Yeah, and before I give you mine, I want to know, while you were growing up watching, what did Swaggy P do to make top 5?
Don't worry about it, Steve. He's just on.
No, I just want to know. Did you go to school with them or something?
Yeah, USC, man. He's an LA local.
Oh man, there's a lot of LA locals.
Right on.
All right. Well. All right. Here we go. In order, I've got Magic Johnson. He brought Showtime. He created it. His passing, his everything, his flavor back then, back in the 80s, the rivalry with the Celtics. When hoops was hoops, man, people were banging, and he was just, he was one of the first big point guards out there running the show. Second is Kobe. Again, like kind of like Javon said, what do I really need to say? Third, I have Shaq. Just that Kobe Shaq combo alone was so lethal. I just remember watching them with my buddies and at the bar or at home, and it was just like you just felt like they were always gonna be unstoppable. Fourth, I have Kareem. Just he belongs on that list. And fifth, I have Jerry West. He's the logo. He's a Laker legend. Not just for his playing, but his playing days with the Lakers, but also just when he was running the show. And he got us Kobe. He got us Shaq. Like, he made these huge moves that even if he never put on a LA Laker uniform, just that alone, he deserves to be on that list. And then I kind of have like a 5B or whatever you want to call it. I do want to back up Jeannie for putting Phil on the list. I don't care if they're married or dating or whatever it is. When Phil came along, the Lakers, they weren't good, and he made them good again. So all these guys on this list, they made the Lakers champions again in some way, whether it was on the court or as a GM or as a coach. So yeah, he's on my list. If I get to pick, if Javon can put Nick Young on there, then I can pick a sixth person. And my sixth is Phil Jackson. So
Okay.
Phil for sure over Swaggy.
Yeah, you know what? You guys may have convinced me. Maybe he doesn't belong in the top 5.
It made for good. It was good entertainment value, like him.
For sure, exactly. During all those years when we were literally cellar dwellers, the laughing stock of the league, who came out and was jacking up shots like Nick Young? Nobody on the Lakers. So
took all that. Kobe called him softer than Charmin. He was part of it. There. The good old days.
Yeah,
man. All right, fellas. So as we were talking about, the Lakers have a historic franchise. And there's just so many numbers. Obviously, I'm not going to pick the retired ones because I have a feeling like 32. You guys would choose Magic Johnson over the other 10 players that have worn that jersey. So, like, for Steve, number 5, for people that wore number 5 in the Lakers franchise, you got Robert Horry, Jordan Farmar, Steve Blake.
Yeah,
I thought even Jose Calderon. Or you got THT this year. Is there who would you go with?
Before you even brought the names up, the only person I even thought of was Robert Horry. So
Big Shot Bob.
Yeah.
Historic. And Javon, since I know you're Mr. Swaggy P guy, 0. We got the young Mamba, Andrew Godlock, Nick Young, or Kyle Kuzma. Who you going with?
I mean, I think my top 5 said it, man.
Okay. Okay, you're loyal. You're very loyal. My God.
Yep. Swaggy staying on the squad.
Wow. Okay. And for Steve, I'm going to do one more for you guys each. For number 10, we got Norm Nixon, Tyronn Lue, Vladimir Romanovich, Steve Nash, Jared Dudley today. Who would you pick up? Who would you pick for your number 10?
The oldest guy.
100% Norm Nixon, man.
Okay, Storm and Norman.
Those other dudes.
Storm and Norman.
Hey. Okay, for all the youngsters that don't know that, Google. We got you. All right, and Javon, for number 21, we got Michael Cooper, Kareem Rush, Ronnie Turioff. You go Ed Davis, and last year, the last person to wear that, number 21, J.R. Smith.
Wow. That's a great list. I didn't know all those guys were 21.
Yes.
Obviously, Michael Cooper, absolute ball stopper. So Coop was probably going on the team. But shout out to Ronnie Turioff because he played a lot of minutes banging down low, doing stuff that guys didn't want to do.
Very true.
He did, man.
Boy, right there. I'm with Cooper Loop on that one.
Boardman gets paid.
Hey, facts. So everyone, we appreciate you guys for joining us on our NBA edition of 15 Minutes of Game. Don't forget to check us out on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and subscribe to our podcast on Apple and have a good night. We'll see you guys soon.